Hello, I'm the Reddit man, giving you Reddit stories that will super kick you face off. Shall we begin? Instead of giving presents, Santa now puts things that you lost or were stolen from you under the tree. What would you be the most excited to see under the tree? My dad is the third person in his family to have his name carried down generation after generation from my great grandfather. When we were little, my granddad stopped by one day and passed on to my dad the family ring with their initials embroidered into it. It was emotional, and he was very happy. Later that night my brothers and I lost a frisbee in a tree. My dad is the ultimate DIYer, so he rigged up a football that he would throw into the higher branches and then yank on it with a rope he had attached to free the frisbee. It eventually worked, and it was a funny little scene. Later that night he realized his ring was gone. He assumed tossing the football again and again had loosened it up and it probably flew off his hand. He would go around that tree constantly for years to come looking for that ring. He even bought a heavy-duty metal detector to try and find it. No luck. I would hope Santa would finally cut the guy break and give that ring back. My mom would give away my favorite toys to foster kids when they would leave. She never asked me, and her response when I would complain was, "Those kids have nothing." I still don't know if I'm the asshole here. One day, when I was about 10 to 11, my mom gave away all my toys without asking me while I was at school. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for charity, but I was still a kid and needed my toys. There was one toy that me and my great grandmother used to play with a lot. I loved her dearly. She was one of the very few people who actually cared about me, so that toy was very important for me emotionally. I would give one of my kidneys to have that toy back. Charity doesn't count for stolen goods. I kinda wanna slap your mom right now, point back. When I was about 10 years old, I had a book of brain teasers that I absolutely loved. While I'm sure I could find all of the same riddles online nowadays, at the time, that tiny compendium was like something akin to Tome of Magic for me. I loved befuddling my friends with the scenarios between the pages, which led me, one fateful Friday morning, to bring the book to school with me. Now, on the day in question, each student in the class was going to briefly present a shoebox diorama that they'd made. I don't recall what the theme of mine was, but I do remember storing my codex of conundrums inside of it, allegedly for safekeeping. That turned out to be an unwise decision, because I neglected to bring either of the items home with me that afternoon, and the following Monday, I discovered that they had vanished. The operating theory was that the janitor had mistaken my diorama for a piece of garbage. Fortunately, my grade didn't reflect that assessment. Here's the thing, though, although I was annoyed about my assignment having been thrown away, I had completely forgotten that I'd hidden my collection of riddles inside it. The detail didn't occur to me until a few days later, as I was folding socks to be put away. The sudden realization hit me hard enough that I actually froze in place for a moment, and the knowledge that my beloved book was gone indelibly burned itself into my psyche. To this day, I can't fold socks without remembering that book. The good news is that I still remember the riddles, like this one. There is a truck driver going down a one-way street the wrong way. A policeman sees the truck driver but does not stop him or give him a ticket. Why not? TL. Doctor, Santa is bringing a small book and freedom from sock folding PTSD. When I was a kid, I loved dinosaurs. There was a Transformer or Battlebot or something, I don't remember, but it was a raptor. I had a toy model that could change from raptor to fighter. It was one of the coolest toys I ever owned, which is saying something, because I hated doll/action figures. I'm pretty sure it landed in a ditch somewhere out in the country, by my aunt and uncle's farm. But the ditch grass is so tall and thick it's impossible to see where it landed, and we weren't gonna scour the grass for it. I was a sad boy for life that day. Edit. Beast Wars. When I was 6 years old, I accidentally left my brother's favorite book in a playground several hours drive from our house. When we realized the book wasn't in the car and my mom wasn't going to turn back for it, my brother cried the whole ride, and for days after, if I could, I would ask for the book back for him. My best friend and I invented a radio show called The Insane Family, and we would do skits and record them on my Talkboy. The characters were an extended family living in the same house, grandparents, parents, and 3 kids. Everybody was completely insane except for the teenage daughter, who was always dying of embarrassment. One of the grandparents was incontinent and had a terrible memory, so a lot of the skits involved finding grandpa's potty chair in weird places. We were inspired by the Animaniacs and the Munsters, and probably a few other things. I'd really love to listen to that tape with my friend. I'm sure it would be hilarious and horrible. TLDR. The crazy pretend radio show we recorded on cassette tape in the mid-90s. Haha, this sounds super 90s and silly. I'd like to hear this tape. Did you like this video? If so, please like, share, and subscribe and ring the bell to be notified of new uploads.